Hey folks, welcome back to Nutrition Made Simple, a series we created that takes a look at ideas surrounding natural health topics, and then we break them down into easy to understand and actionable steps that you can take. I've got Ed Jones here with me today. He is the owner and founder of Nutrition World. And for the month of June, we're talking kind of about the pain-stress connection and some of the varying products that can be used to help mitigate those. And we have a somewhat controversial, somewhat unique product that we want to talk about today, but we think it's important to have this conversation because more and more of these products are getting out there, and that's Delta 8 and Delta 9. Chances are you might have seen a sign or heard about it, and you've wondered to yourself, what in the world is Delta 8 and Delta 9? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So right off the bat, Ed, just tell us a little about what these products are and how Delta 8 and Delta 9 are different.
Big question. Well, all of this falls still under the umbrella of hemp and marijuana. It does. Well, I never would have imagined that we actually would have the freedom to offer these products. And again, all products across the whole board, I don't care if it's from Nutrition World or from pharmaceuticals, is a risk against benefit ratio. Mm-hmm. And it's also about quality, those two things. So there's no perfect product, including this one. But Brian, the thing about Delta 8 and Delta 9 is they do serve a purpose that I have been very pleased with if done properly for the proper person. So Delta 8 comes from hemp. Delta 9 comes from cannabis. Well, those are cousins, but they're different, and they're the same, but they're different, as we know. Well, I was skeptical for a long time when we first were able to sell this. We chose not to because we have to be vetting everything for you in this community. I only sleep well at night because I know that I would take everything that we sell here, and I'm not going to have anything here I wouldn't take, and I'm picky. So Delta 8, what does it do? It is a calming herb out of the hemp family that is beyond belief. I love CBD. It has so many health benefits for long term, and it's almost like a maintenance multiple for some people, and it does help in many disorders like pain and anxiety. But Delta 8 is specific to calm the brain. If you do a right amount of Delta 8, and many of my employees have, I've done it, we've had a lot of feedback, you do the right amount, you're very, very calm, like almost like scary calm, like nothing bothers you, but yet you still function. You can normally work, you can think clearly, you feel better. Some people at night sleep better with this. It's not really psychogenic unless you do too much, and then you get really lazy. But properly done is, and we'll talk about that dose in a minute, but properly done, about an hour into that, you start feeling the calmness coming on. Yeah. I don't use it often. I'm actually pretty chilled most of the time these days, but I always have in reserve just in case. Yeah. And I do recommend it for the right person. The wrong person is the one who's already on anti-anxiety medicine, who's being treated pharmaceutically for this same kind of issue within themselves, or who has complex medical conditions. Check with your doctor. Don't do this unless you check it out. We keep them behind the counter. We will not sell these on the counter because we want to educate people when they come in.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that's for everyone. But literally what Delta 8 is, it's another cannabinoid, much like CBD, right?
Much like it.
But different. And we'll get to those differences in a second. And the Delta 9 is a much stronger version than Delta 8, basically. It's going to have more of that effect. So moving on, Delta 8 comes from the hemp plant. Obviously CBD and a lot of other helpful products come from hemp as well. But quality has always been and will always be a key issue when it comes to hemp products in particular, because they literally will soak up everything that's in the soil, yes, good and bad. So tell us a little bit about the process of how Delta 8 is extracted from the hemp plant and some things that people need to be aware of.
Well, Delta 8 is much more difficult to pull from the hemp plant than Delta 9 is. Delta 9, and I'll speak on Delta 9 in a second of some of the other effects it has, but Delta 8, if that plant, the hemp, likes to pull up heavy metals from the soil if it's in there, and it likes to have mold, and they use solvents that, like the drugs, the gas station stuff. Lordy, I wouldn't trust that for 1 second. The brand that we carry, you actually go have a QR code. You can go on, you see certificate of analysis that tests for all of this. Do not buy these products unless you are absolutely verified with some kind of documentation that it's been tested. Yeah. Delta 9 does not require the quite amount of solvents that Delta 8 does, so it has a little less chance to be contaminated.
Okay.
But the thing about Delta 9, I want to say, Brian, real quick, is I use Delta 9 now more often because I tend to have a chronic hip issue, and with pain, it's harder to sleep. Well, Delta 9 is more psychogenic. I would never do Delta 9 and drive a car, come to work. I'm always at home. It does stimulate appetite slightly. Some people that's good and some it's not. It does make you a little bit loopy if you do too much. And the thing is, the gummies, I found that 1/2 gummy is perfect for me on both Delta 8 and Delta 9, and 1 gummy is too much. So that's the dose that I have found. But everyone is different. I always recommend starting with 1/4 gummy and not a 1/2 gummy.
Yeah. So if you haven't caught on by now, I don't know if we've mentioned it, but we're talking about THC here. This is the active ingredient that's giving that effect. It's the psychoactive compound that is found in hemp and cannabis products. So with that being said, THC is kind of a controversial word in a lot of spaces, and that's something that we're not ignoring and we want to talk about. So I think really the main question that people are going to have is legality issues when it comes to these products. Obviously, if it wasn't legal, we wouldn't be selling it. But can you just walk us through a little bit of the history of hemp products in particular and some of the standards that we have on a state level and a federal level when it comes to these products?
Well, Brian, you know, the Farm Bill that was introduced a couple years ago changed the game on all of this. The percentages of THC in both Delta 8 and Delta 9 are under the legal limit. Of course, we wouldn't sell it if it wasn't. And, of course, you see signs everywhere. How long that will last, no one can predict. There could be a change in the law that can change it. I don't see that probably happening, but who knows? And right now in Tennessee, it's legal. I'm telling you, one is make sure, and I didn't mention this, you will test positive for THC, obviously, because you said it has it in there. So don't lose your job over it. But secondly, Tennessee is fine. Many states are not. You could get in trouble for this if you probably were caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I recommend certainly not traveling with it in some way that you'll be caught, or else using it in places that you could be in big trouble. And even using Delta 9, if you were doing and driving a car, you're going to be arrested for intoxicated driving. So this is not something to play with. It's just simply not. It's serious business. But you know what? Not sleeping and having chronic pain and having anxiety and having a lot of issues, especially as we age, those are serious too. So it's a risk against benefit. I don't want to use the pharmaceutical drugs any more than I have to. I want to use these things because they don't have any leftover. They don't give me a hangover. They don't make me feel cloudy. They don't make me feel foggy. They give me what I want if I'm doing the proper dose. Okay.
So on that note, you mentioned risk versus benefit a little earlier. Can you walk us through some of the things that are really beneficial? You've hit on a few of them already, but things that are really beneficial from these products. Who is it for and how can it help?
Well, I'll be honest, Brian, 80% at least of the people who are purchasing these on a return basis are doing it for anxiety and insomnia, and then thirdly would be pain. Those are the three biggies. That probably comprises 85 to 80%. Who are the other 20%? It's people who just enjoy the feeling. They don't really have an issue. They just enjoy being super relaxed and being at home and being cool. Or they just find that they can be a laser focused when the Delta 8 because they have this little bit of anxiety that keeps them kind of scattered, and all of a sudden they're just like bullet, straight for their job and straight for their thinking patterns. It's an experiment.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I've had it, it's not like this is only one person. There are people who've taken both of these who have not done well. Yep. They've had anxiety that came from it. You would think it would do the opposite, but there's people who it's actually reverse, and they actually got very anxious. Their heart rate went up. It isn't something that's a regular vitamin or even regular CBD. It's in nature's pharmacy, which I respect greatly, but we have to respect it and be very cautious and be. And if you're not that kind of person who's a seeker and explorer, I'd say leave it alone.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely not for everyone. Okay, so you hit on benefits and some of the risks. Any last words on these products? Obviously, this is something that you need to be careful with. There are some stipulations that come around it. You need to have discernment when using this. But is there any kind of like a little last wisdom that you want to share with people?
Well, one is I never would recommend capsules or pills. Gummies are the only way that I think we can dose it properly. It's the most common way it's produced. It gives you much more flexibility to do what you need to do with it. A capsule, you're kind of stuck with it, and too much could be too much. This is what's interesting. If you do a Delta 8 or Delta 9 and you feel like that you've gotten too much too soon and you're not doing well, or you feel like you have a little hangover, which I don't think will happen, but if it did, guess what the remedy is? CBD. Because the CBD has these different cannabinoids that help you process the Delta 8 and Delta 9, especially Delta 9, and it helps lower the effects of it. So if I do CBD, I will not do CBD with my Delta 8 or 9 because I don't want to negate it, so I'll do that maybe in the morning if I'm doing the Delta 8 or Delta 9 at night. But it's a great antidote for people who are like, oh, this does not feel good to me and I don't like it. Just grab you about 3 eyedroppers of regular good quality CBD and it negates it.
Interesting.
So that's a great little point that people don't know.
Perfect. All right, guys. We know this was an interesting topic, but one, again, that we thought was important to talk about. Do your homework, know what you're getting into, get a good, clean product. And, of course, you can always come see us, and we can provide that and with answers for any questions that you may have. So thank you so much for watching. We hope that you found this was helpful. And, of course, if you did, please like and subscribe for more content just like this. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time on Nutrition Made Simple.
Thank you.